morning, everyone.
You might be muted. Hold on.
It'll be an excellent presentation.
I'm mute.
Good morning, everyone. This is Maria Jose Granados and Christina Wilson. They're very dear friends of mine, really, really awesome attorneys, and they have great information for you today. So,
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you, Magda. So, like you said, I'm MJ and Christina, and we are from Simply Legal. We're a boutique law firm in Brickell, and we do corporate law and real estate law. So we handle anyone that's trying to invest and anyone that has a small to medium-sized business. We help them maximize that potential, help them structure everything so that they can achieve their goals. And today we have a really cool presentation that people tend to like a lot because it's, as the topic says, get your financial shit in order for 2021. So Christina put together this presentation. It's something that she lives by, so we're excited to hear it.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, yeah, those following along on Zoom, you guys have a little PowerPoint, that'll kind of give you the overviews of what we're about to talk about. You guys are going to get the real deal here, and that are attending live. But yeah, basically just a little bit about this topic and why we're here. I'm not a financial planner, neither is MJ, but these are tips that we've lived by and that we've gotten our own personal lives together. So that's kind of why this topic is really important, and the amount of stress that it relieved, and the feeling like you're on the right track and that you have an action plan and a game plan of what you're working for. It's been very practical advice, and when I shared it with friends and I shared it with coworkers, they just kind of gobbled it up too and absorbed it into their own lives, and it's just become a thing. Though, just wanted to give the disclaimer up front that we're not financial planners, so no stock advice here. This is practical, like kind of real life advice that we put into action ourselves, and just trying to help people. So.
Really good lawyer disclaimer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first thing, and we can make our slides and our notes available. If you guys want the information, there's a lot of links and stuff. Again, these are kind of talking points for us, but there's a lot of, where the source of where this information came from. So if you like a particular topic or you want to learn more about something, just feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to send you our notes and answer any questions you have as well. Go ahead. That's okay. Okay, so the first thing that we're just kind of briefly run down is there's a financial strength test, and it's on the Susie Orman website. She's like a financial guru. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is based on her fundamentals of what she teaches. She used to have a show on CNBC where she talked to normal people and gave them advice. They would call in with their problem, and she'd give them answers and solutions. Her website is packed full of information that's written in English so that you can actually understand what it's saying, and it's practical tips. So there's a financial strength test on there, and I highly recommend that everybody kind of do that as like an assessment of where you are. But just some information. A recent Gallup poll found that Americans are the most positive about their financial situation in a long time. Granted, 2020 may have thrown a little wrench in that for some people, but 52% of people reported that they feel good about their finances. And about 5 years ago, that was only at 41%. So it's easy to see why so many more of us are feeling better about our finances. The stock market has been doing great, and there's been a rise in home prices. So that's really good for your assets, your balance sheets, and obviously your confidence, because you're making good investments and those investments are growing. But just because your 401k is going up and because your home increased, it doesn't mean necessarily that you're in good financial shape. So this strength test basically is an assessment to help you figure that out. So if you answer a yes to every item that I'm about to kind of give you a rundown of, then you should feel confident that you're on the right track and you are on the road to financial freedom.
So you ready?
All right, guys.
If you need to move up on the slide, let me know and I'll move it.
Yeah,
Like,
Mike,
we're not there.
we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first question is, there's like 10, so hang in there. All right, so the first question, these are yes, no answers. I pay all my credit card bills in full each month. I have an 8-month, and I personally believe in 10, emergency savings fund separate from my checking and other banking accounts.
That's 8 months
8 months of
of
savings.
your expenses paid in a savings account.
Okay. The car I am driving was paid with cash or a loan that was for no more than 3 years. And I didn't lease. So that's generally speaking, there are exceptions to that rule, okay? And for those of you real estate agents out there that have your own company, don't sweat the lease so much, okay? But if you're paying, individually buying a car, yeah, you should own it and not lease. Okay, I'm contributing at least 10% of my gross salary to a retirement plan, or I'm saving that much in an IRA or a regular taxable account. I have a long-term asset allocation plan for my retirement savings. And once a year, I check to see if I need to do any rebalancing to stay on target with my goals.
What does that mean?
So basically, a lot of these funds that you invest in, like your 401ks, if you work for a company that allowed you to set up a 401k, they did a lot of like, how old are you? When do you plan to retire? And based on those two data points, they threw you into this mix. And the older you get, the more kind of safe the fund changes to be. Invest more in things that are not so risky. Or you just went in, or you had the freedom to go in and just pick stocks. And you said, oh, I love Apple, so I'm gonna buy a lot of Apple. Or I love this, and I bought a lot of this. But maybe in 2 years, that company's not doing, like WeWork, for example, it's kind of been like a little roller coaster, right? So you want to make sure that just because you make those investments, that you're following up, kind of like and doing a little spring cleaning of your assets to make sure that you're still investing the way you want, okay? Because companies change and investments change, and it could be either not earning as much as you'd like to, it's not as aggressive as you want it to be, or it could be too aggressive and you just see your numbers going all over the place and you want to create a little bit more stability. So maybe you need to invest in something that gives you a little bit more stability over time, okay? I have term life insurance to provide protection to those who are dependent on my income.
That is not whole life, that is term.
Term life insurance.
Important.
Okay. I have a will, a trust, an advance directive, living will, and have appointed someone to be my healthcare proxy. And I have checked all beneficiaries on every investment account and insurance policy within the past year. So what is that? That is basically when you open up a savings account or a 401k or life insurance, you're able to name someone. Like if you pass away, then that account will pass to that person. People get married, people get divorced. Kids don't exist, kids exist. Kids have to be of the right age where they can inherit.
Yes, do not name your minor children as beneficiaries ever.
Yeah, because they can't
Ever.
inherit.
That's a really big risk. If you do have minors as your beneficiaries, please talk to us. There's a way around it, but it's really important that you don't.
And then you may name someone like parents or someone like this, but 30 years from now, unless they're I don't know, whatever. So you just need to check those and make sure that that person that you've named there is who you still are intending to protect. Okay. So how did you do? If you answered yes to every item, congrats. If you're working on improving a couple items, then congrats as well. As long as you're committed to building the financial security, that's the goal. Okay. If you're paying down your credit card balances, or if you're building up an emergency fund with automated payments, that's fine. You're on your way. But if you found yourself saying more no than yes to those questions, then we need to work towards moving to yes to kind of tick those boxes. And another one of those little sayings that Susie Orman says is stand in your truth. If you don't know your numbers, then you don't know where you're starting from. But we're about to give you some tips. No matter how good you feel right now, if you answer no to all those questions, that's okay. Lots of room for improvement. But we can just take them one at a time and work through that list. So that quick self-assessment being said, what we're going to do now is offer you guys some top 10 tips, some quick tips, and some practical guidance on how to address those issues.
Yeah, so I think it's a good way to transition with that saying from Susie Orman, stand in your truth, because the first one is know your numbers. So it's really, a lot of us don't want to check your bank account because you don't want to see what's there. You don't want to check necessarily how you spent your money on your credit card this month because you don't really want to know. It's important to know your numbers, how much you're spending, where are you spending it, how much you're earning, were you able to get a little extra cash this month? And a really good way to do that is through a website called mint.com. And they have an app and it links to all your accounts, to your credit cards, to your mortgage, to your car loan, to all of those things. And you're able to track your spending a lot better. Being able to do that will allow you to reach those goals that we're talking about. If you don't know your numbers, then you can't go forward with this list basically. So it's very important.
So just a couple things on that. The know your numbers part, like our parents' generation, more of that age, was like if you're married, a lot of women used to have the mindset of, oh, my husband pays the bills. No, there's no, I don't care if you're married, single, whatever, I don't care. It is everybody's job to know where you are. And especially if you're married, you're a partnership, you're a team. So you both should be aware of the bills that are getting paid and where you are financially, if you need to be bringing in more money or savings. There's no excuse to not know that. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable. Get a bottle of wine and open up the bank account and go for it. Okay.
Or tequila, depending on
or tequila. Maybe switch to tequila, but I recommend that later after you've written the check. But also on mint.com, look, it's very user friendly, lots of colors, lots of charts, and what's great about that is it turns into like a little game. You can see how you progress over time or how you're not doing so great over time, something happened. But it gives you a snapshot of all your accounts, where instead of just looking at one account at a time, it sucks everything into one and kind of helps you track the overall picture, and it's free. So there's multiple programs out there. I just like that one the best.
Yeah, we don't get paid for Mint.
No
So
endorsements.
no endorsements. That's
Second
just one that we use.
one.
With that being said, Mint is really good for number 2 as well, which is calculate your net worth. You cannot build wealth unless you know where you're standing. So it's your assets minus your debt. A lot of people tend to forget about the debt part. So you have a home, that's an asset, minus the loan that you have in your home, that's your debt. So what is your net worth? So not just your gross, we have to look at our net and to subtract all of our debts and the liabilities that we have. And there's a column that Mint has that will take into account all your assets, your cash, your properties, your cars, subtract all the debt that you have on it, and we'll give you your net worth. And it's important to start measuring that for planning purposes. All right, number 3.
Yeah. Okay. So the third one is check your credit profile. Why that's important? Your credit score affects the interest rates on things like credit cards and loans, things of that nature. It can be used actually to vet you when you're applying for a job. This is important for you guys. You're real estate agents. You're helping people buy homes, right? Slides. Yeah. Thanks, MJ. Sorry about that. We'll let them catch it. Okay, so you guys are real estate agents. You're providing guidance to people looking to buy homes. So you want to make sure that these topics that their numbers are clean too, because it helps them qualify for loans at better rates, which means they're going to be able to get a bigger home or be able to secure the home, their dream home. Okay, so your credit reports determine your FICO score. They need to be up to date and correct. Mistakes abound. A score in the mid 700s it is considered good. And you can also catch if you're the victim of ID theft. A la the woman who is roaming around in Hialeah with my social security number.
No lie.
No joke, put me through hell for 2 years, drained multiple bank accounts of mine, and I found out about it by checking my credit. And I was like, what are all these? Why do I have a credit card being opened at Babies R Us? I have no kids. That's odd. So really check those things because that's very important. There's a website that's free also called Credit Karma. Mint has also embedded something to check your credit score, but Credit Karma shows you multiple bureaus that pull your credit. So you can do that, and you should do this for your family too, including your kids. You'd be shocked.
Yes.
Your 5-year-old has a
True.
credit card sometimes, so you know you really need to check those things. That's very important for your financial stability. All right. Okay. It's slide.
Yeah.
Slide.
It's not a slide, it's a
Yeah,
number.
it's a number.
We missed
Okay.
all the
All day.
beginning
We can't go
slides.
back.
All right.
We'll do that at the end. That's fine. Okay, so the next point is to cut your spending by 10%. And this is another kind of Susie Orman kind of concept, needs versus wants. So once you've downloaded Mint.com, you've assessed where you are with all your stuff, all the money you're bringing in and all the expenses you make. This is so important. You can challenge yourself, challenge your family to give yourself a 10% budget by cutting your spending by 10%. So once you input your income and your outflow into that expense tracker we have a website that you can go to and put everything in. Circle on there what's a need versus what is a want, and then try to figure out how to reduce or eliminate the things that you don't have to have. The reason I kind of got into all this is I went to law school. I got my MBA in finance from UM. I paid for it myself. So as you guys are aware, those are not cheap schools. I came out of law school with about over $300,000 in student loan debt. And when I happened to graduate, the interest rates for federal student loans was between 7 and 9%, depending on where you were. So it wasn't a pleasant experience. It was very stressful. So I made this specific bullet. It was like a game for me. I was on a mission. So if you have student loan debt, really assess those loans and seek and destroy. See where you can cut expenses. Like instead of going to Starbucks every day, drink coffee at home and throw that Starbucks money on one of those debts to get it out of the way. If you have disposable income, go for it. Go back to Starbucks. But if you're really trying to give yourself that financial stability, see where you can cut and throw it against one of those debts.
All right.
Oh, wait.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Can I please have a sheet?
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that extra?
we'll
No?
we can
Oh,
send
okay,
it out.
sorry,
Yeah,
We're gonna
that's all
send it
right.
out.
We'll send it
Sorry.
out. Didn't know you.
I came late.
That's all right. No worries.
For number 5, shop for insurance deals. So you're always looking for best prices for like how to get the best deal on clothes and on different things. Why don't you do that also for insurance? You got to keep your vendors honest, and you can save more than 10% in looking at different providers. So you've been using the same insurance company for the last 5 years. Why don't you check somewhere else? See if that's really the best insurance out there for you right now. Your situation may have changed. If it's a car insurance, maybe you haven't had any accidents. Maybe it would already have gone down. So it's really important to check your insurance. There's a couple of websites here. It's insweb.com and netquote.com, and you can find premium quotes from a variety of insurers. So it's really important to do that. You could save a good chunk of money.
What are those websites again? I'm sorry.
insweb.com and netquote.com.
And just to give you guys a heads up on that, I actually used one of those websites this year to check for my condo on one of our insurance policies, and I saved over $2,700 on the premium. Same coverage, but just shopped it. So you throw it, you just pay that premium and just don't think about it, but you're throwing away. You could be throwing away thousands of dollars a year. So it's important to shop.
What was the second one? I'm sorry. It's insweb.com and
Netquote.com. Yeah. All right. Raise your insurance deductibles. So why is this important? Having a low deductible of $250 may entice you to use your insurance for different things. Oh, I got a small debt. Let me just pay the $250 and then use your insurance for that. Well, the more that you use your insurance to cover certain expenses, the more your premiums are going to raise. So it's really important to only use it when you need it. So raise those deductibles. And there's also a nice payoff for higher deductibles. You raise your auto and home deductibles to $1,000 or more, and your premium costs will fall at least 10%. So that's really, really good. You can call your insurer and ask for a new quote based on a higher deductible. It will definitely change, but do this only if you have an emergency savings fund. Because if you don't have an emergency savings fund, you're gonna have to use your insurance to cover for any small loss that you have. So that's really important.
All right, so then the next tip, number 7, is check out a credit union or other banking options. And why is this important? So credit unions and online banks, they often offer better deals to people. They tend to pay like higher interest rates on savings accounts and things of that nature, or give you lower interest rates on car loans. So it's important to kind of not only shop those vendors, but also shop your banks. Okay, and again, you guys are providing advice to people trying to buy a house. You don't just tell them to go to one, you send them to a mortgage broker, or you say, hey, go check, if your bank is Wells Fargo and they're not lending, go check out this, or I have a friend that does that there. So it's the same kind of thing with your savings goals as well. When you're throwing money into an emergency savings fund that you're gonna let sit there, you want it to earn as much money as it can. So, but you also want it to be safe. Emergency savings is not throwing it into Bitcoin, okay? It's throwing it into a savings account that's going to pay you a little bit less money, but it's there in case of emergency that you can quickly access it, okay? So do this now. There's a website called nerdwallet.com and smarterchoice.com, and you can go there. You can also go to the National Credit Union Administration, and there's a mycreditunion.gov, and click on the Protect Your Finances. Basically, and it'll give you a list of different options. You can go check out different options there. But basically, what's important, an important tip to know, that even though you're not going to one of these mainstream banks, they're still FDIC. You want to make sure the bank that you're going to is FDIC insured. The likelihood of the U.S. banking system crashing is probably not very high, but your bank accounts are insured for up to $250,000. So you want to make sure you kind of stay in one of those, one of those institutions. Thanks. All right, number 8, boost your emergency fund to cover 10 months of living expenses. So above, we were talking about doing that assessment. So you're going to find out what on a monthly average, how much are you spending? Okay. Why is this important? If hopefully you've started saving. If not, this is the guide where you're going to want to start. Okay. So you want to look at that number, and let's say it's $5,000 a month. Okay. So if you're spending $5,000 a month on all your stuff throughout the month, you multiply that by 10, and that's the targeted goal you should have in an emergency savings fund. Okay. But here's the important point. Don't get overwhelmed. Okay. That's a lot of money to a lot of people, and you have to start somewhere. So, that's what you want to do. You have that goal sitting out there, and, you'll get there. Just start saving. Even if it's $100 a paycheck or $100 a month, just start scraping a little bit aside to where you feel comfortable and that you can cover all your expenses still. And you'll slowly build up over time.
And also, that it used to sound like really exaggerated, 10 months, like whenever she would talk about that. And now with the pandemic, now we know why it's so high. So imagine how you've made your decisions, knowing like, yeah, I have some savings, but I only have this much in savings. I didn't really think I was going to need that much in savings ever. And that really impacts how you make your decisions and what energy you put out there. And the energy that you put out there can really impact how much business you bring in and what you do with for business. So it's really important to have that confidence, knowing, you know what, I was financially responsible. I have 8 to 10 months of my expenses already paid. We will get through this. Breathe and let's move forward, instead of just trying to scrape by and trying to pay my bills. So it makes sense of why something like this is so important.
Yeah, I mean, we've been law partners now for what, 4.5 years or so. And yeah, she just, oh, you're too conservative. You're too conservative. What are you doing? You're like, putting money in your mattress. But no, look, there's a point to it. Like, those real estate agents out there that have companies, when we're talking about these tips, not only should you do it for your personal life, you should also do it for your business. So for those of you that have a PA open, look at your expenses for your PA. Your PA should have a savings account, and it should have 10 months in there. Your personal life you should look at your expenses and have a personal savings account and have 10 months there. Think about this year. Nobody saw this coming. We had 1 month, and all of a sudden our whole lives had changed. We were stuck at home. We had no income coming in. People, we didn't know how long it was going to last, or what was going to happen. So, that peace of mind of being able to say, I can make payroll, I can pay my rent for my office. I can pay the rent, my mortgage for my house, my car payment. I don't have to worry, and it's there, you know. So it really, like MJ said, it really does empower you to, even when you hit something like this, that you just don't stop in fear, that you can keep trucking and keep growing your company or keep living your life, and not worry about how you're gonna make it through the end of the month.
Absolutely.
Okay, number 9. Okay, so max out your 401k if your company has a match that you have access to, and you should also have an IRA. So for this year, these are the limits for 2020. So if you have a 401k, the max you can put into a 401k is $18,500. The max you can put into a Roth IRA is $6,000, and it's $7,000 if you are over the age of 50. Okay, so obviously 401ks, that's the retirement plan. It basically comes out of your income before you get it on your paycheck, so it's the taxes haven't been taken out. It goes straight out of your paycheck. It never comes to you. So you want to try to put as much as you can into that to save for your future, save for your retirement. And then as far as the IRAs go, there are 2 different types. There's something called a Roth IRA, and there's something called a traditional IRA. So what, in a nutshell, like what is the difference between those? A Roth IRA is after tax money, so that you get your paycheck, your taxes have been taken out, and then you're going to go invest that money. Okay. The principal can be assessed at any time without penalty. So that means if you open a Roth IRA with Charles Schwab or E-Trade or any of those places, you put $5,000 in for the year, you can go and take that $5,000 out at any time without getting hit with taxes, because you've already paid taxes on that money. Okay, where you will pay taxes if you hit the interest or any profits that money has earned and you pull from that, that's where you get the penalties and you get hit a little bit. Okay. Susie Orman considers your Roth IRA money, if you put money in there as an emergency fund. I try not to, because again, the intent behind retirement savings, it's savings for retirement. Also, once you put money, you can only put that cap in per year. So let's say I get in a bind and I have to pull out a lot of the money in my Roth IRA. I can't just go back and put it all back in. I can only put in up to that cap each year. So I try to just, once it's in there, I pretend it's no longer mine. So that's just kind of my own thought on that one. They both have tax breaks. So, but it just depends on how much money you're bringing in each year as to how that applies. Roth IRAs, there's a cap that once you go over a certain amount of gross income, you're not allowed to invest in those anymore. You have to go the traditional route. The traditional route, it works kind of like a 401k, that the money comes out of your paycheck and then taxes are taken. Okay, and then you get your net income on your paycheck. Okay, we can talk about that a little later if you guys have questions.
All right, and then number 10, it's, are you a human? So if you are a human, no matter what type of human, you will need a will package and a revocable trust. People say like, oh, but I don't have enough, or, you know, like it's just me. Doesn't matter. You need a will package. Who's gonna make decisions if you get in a car accident, God forbid, and you're sitting there in the hospital? Who can make financial decisions? Who can make health decisions for you? If you have children, oh my God, you really need to do this, like urgently. You need a trust. Oh, but I don't have enough assets, but you do. You do have a job. You do have an income. Imagine the disaster that your family is gonna have to go through if you pass and you have nothing in place. This is really important. You do it not only for you, because you're a financially responsible individual, but you also do it for your family. So it's really, really important that if you do not have this, whether you're married, whether you have children, that you do this. It's important for you to be financially responsible, for you to feel confident that you've got everything done and you got your shit together. So
Think of it like,
yeah.
just think of it like car insurance. Like you buy car insurance, you hope you never have to use it, right? Because if you use it, that something shitty has happened to your car. So you know, it's the same kind of thing. You get it with the intention that, oh, okay, in the event the worst happens, I've got this plan and we can go to it. And this is what I want if I'm not able to communicate to someone. And that's the goal.
And the only guarantee that we have in life is that we're gonna pass, and this will happen. So might as well be ready for it, right? So it's really important, and that's why we leave it as the last one to make sure that we emphasize it. Because if you don't have it, it's something you really must do, and specifically if you have minor children. And that goes with the whole do not name your minors as beneficiaries. You can create a trust who will set the terms for those funds that they would receive.
Absolutely. And just some other things, like there's some really good podcasts out there. I don't know if you guys are listening to podcasts right now, but Susie Orman doesn't have her show anymore, but she does have a podcast. It's called Women and Money. And she also has, it's based off a book that she wrote that's great. And even if you're a guy, you should read that book. It's really good. But and there's another one called Young, Fabulous, and Broke. I've read both of those when I was first trying to learn about all this stuff and where I needed to start. So those books I highly recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we do for our clients. You know, a lot of people that come to us are starting out. We not only register their company and get them started with the right corporate structure, but we also guide them as to some of these things that they want to make sure that they have in place. So they come to us for one thing, but we tell them, listen, you really need to plan what happens if this situation would occur. So we will, we like to know the overall goals for our clients and get to know whether they have children, what their family situation, and tailor those things to them. A little bit about us. I don't know if you want to go to one of the slides in the front, because I don't know, we kind of missed it. So I was telling you guys that we help individuals, whether they are starting a new business or whether they're investing. A lot of the times they're either buying assets in a company or real estate. So we'll set them up and make sure that they're doing things right, especially there's foreign nationals that come here and don't know anything or anyone. We provide that network for them. In the commercial real estate side, we do the due diligence and we help them review any loan documents and anything that they might need on that arena. So it's an approach that we take. We become their counselors and we introduce them to other individuals that they may need that we trust.
Yeah, and I think that's like, it's important. You guys are here to learn for yourselves, but you're also you're a counselor to someone else. And every home, every person, every lease that you help, every person that approaches you to buy or sell a house or that's doing, you know, that's looking for an apartment or whatever, you want to view them as like a long-term person. You know, it's not just that transaction, see ya, on to the next one. You want to build that kind of relationship that, you know, when they're ready to go buy or upgrade their home or look for an investment property, that they keep you in mind, because not only did you just sell them a property, you made sure, hey, you know, have you checked out, you know, you learned about the lending options and you helped them find the best lender for what they were trying to do. Or, you know, maybe it's in connection with something else like immigration or I don't know. But, you know, think of it like that when you're not only assessing your own situation, think about all those people that you guys come into contact with on a daily basis and how your knowledge and your knowledge of the real estate industry, and find out what their goals are. You know, do they plan to have kids in the next couple of years? Then keep them in mind. Oh, this great brand new neighborhood is popping up, you know, right around the corner from where you live. Is it time for that extra bedroom yet? And it gives you like ideas and reasons to touch them. And they, you know, like even though you leased them an apartment, you know, 2 years ago, maybe it's time for them to buy that house. And you remember, oh, they had student loans. How are you working on those student loans? Or, you know, did you get that credit score up? Are you ready to go for that first that first property? And then it just gives you a reason to kind of stay in touch with them over time, keep the interest there that you actually care about them and you want them to kind of grow in their own lives, and they'll come back to you, you know, especially in this city. So, you know, it's definitely a way to stand out from, like, it's South Florida. There's real estate agents all over the place. Everybody's got a real estate license down here, right? So you need to find ways to stand out to your clients
And provide added value.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
that could be your edge.
Absolutely. And this is such, like, all these things, like the websites that we have, you guys, it really breaks it down in English and you can really, it's understandable and you will give you our contact information. Feel free to reach out to us. But if you get a firm kind of basis on this knowledge, you can pass it on to those people and they'll come back.
Absolutely. And things function differently in this country than in others. And in South Florida, we have a lot of foreign nationals that are coming here. So if you can guide them a little bit as to how the system works, it really provides value to them and makes you memorable. So, and if you need anything, just legal or non-legal, we're always here. This is what we like to do. We like to do some outreach. We like to do events like this to help in whatever way that we need. Oh yeah, so 2021 is coming. So this is a good base for us to get started and get things in order. And one of the things that we have planned is coming back here and talking about your business plan and how to make sure that we're ready for 2021. So in fact, we're working already on hours and you're like, oh, but it's just November. Like, don't you do that in January? No, let's do it now. Let's get the basics. Let's make sure that we start planning and thinking what it is that we want, how we break it down to make sure that we achieve those goals. You know, either 2020 was your best year or it was not. It seems like there's not that much in between. So if it was, fantastic, good for you. Let's make 2021 even better. But if it wasn't, maybe it's a time. It's a way for you to catch up and get back on track. So we're gonna be back here, and if you guys are interested, we'll put together something in English for getting started on your business plan and making sure that you're prepared for 2021.
And when we say in English, it's like not complicated, not
Yeah.
necessarily Spanish or whatever, but we're saying like something you can actually understand. And like, again, this presentation is a good self-assessment as to where you are now. So you can try to go through some of these things and try to address some of these things now. And then that definitely helps you plan because you know where you are and you know what your goals are. And then basically what on the next presentation, when we come back and talk about creating a business plan for where you guys want to be as a real estate agent in a year from now, you know where you are now and you know where you want to be. And then that plan is going to be what helps you get there. And we talk about all the functional areas of your business. It's not just about getting out in front of clients. What's your lead generation like? How many people are you reaching out to? What's your marketing plan like? How much money are you spending on marketing? Are you going to networking events? Do you have all your licenses in order? What are different ways that you can reach new people? Is there a certain, type of real estate investment that you don't know so much about that you want to learn more? 1031 exchanges or commercial where you've only been doing resi. All those things go into a business plan because that's what drives you to kind of grow as a real estate agent and seek out opportunities. Start putting yourself out there so that you can get that knowledge, basically.
Yep. So
yeah.
Do you guys have any questions? Anything about what we talked about or anything else that you want to know?
What's your website?
simplylegalgroup.com.
That goes for the people in Zoom too.
Yes.
That's what you can throw in the chat if you guys have any
On
questions.
these slides?
It might be.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm sure it is. We didn't go through all the slides, so.
Yeah, they just put simplylegalgroup.com.
Yes.
We'll make sure we have some cards and brochures.
And if you can, please go on Facebook, like our page, on LinkedIn, follow us, and we always put up Instagram. Yes, Instagram. We always put out some tips and information that we find valuable, articles that we found, a lot on the real estate market as well. So
Your Instagram is the same, Simply Legal Group.
it should be Simply Legal.
On Instagram?
Or
Simply Legal.
Magda? What is
Yeah,
it?
it's just simply legal.
It's just Simply Legal. Thank you. Simply Legal, thank you.
We'll make sure all that information is.
Yes.
So it really impacted me because when you said the whole 10-month saving, I'm like,
It's crazy, right?
so behind. But
You know what, this year made me like break out hives a couple times, like, damn, maybe I should have like 3 years. And then she's like, oh, Christina.
because I always thought that it was like a good 3 months just so you could be in a comfortable position. With this whole pandemic, for me was like, oh
Yeah.
crap. And I even lost like jobs that I usually make like really good money and I couldn't attend to because
There's a service industry.
Because you were
right?
trying to.
and it was crazy. So yeah, now I'm like,
So
Absolutely.
wake up call.
yes.
Yeah, so, and I think, you know, look, we all go through, like, I've never lived through anything like this before, but I've definitely been through moments in time where an event happened or to either to a friend or a family member or something, or just happened and you hear about it on the news and you're like, oh, okay, I need to get my shit together, you know, and this is like kind of one of those things that really, it's gonna leave a mark, you know, you're gonna remember this year for a while, so just make sure that you take something out of it, you know, and if you did great this year, because look, seems like the whole entire planet is moving to Florida. You know, like, so you've hopefully done really well with commissions and things of that nature, it's time to put that money to work. But also keep in mind, this year, for the gross, or the vast majority of people, has not been a good year, it's been very difficult for the average person out there. So, you know, don't learn from your own pain, learn through theirs, and you know,
Yeah,
plan.
absolutely. And with that confidence, you know, that you're financially stable, you're able to be looking at opportunities and not just trying to survive. So it's a different energy, and you're able to meet those goals more likely than if you were focusing on how to just make ends meet. Sorry.
Pay your rent, pay your car.
Mhm. Yes. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so my mother was wanting to put me and my 15-year-old sister in the trust. So it's not a good idea to add her to the trust?
Trust is different.
trust is different,
Okay,
yeah, that's
okay,
what a
trust,
trust
yes.
is there for, so.
Okay.
Basically, if you're a minor, you can't inherit directly because you're not old enough to make decisions, right? Because you're not an adult.
Right.
So, yeah, when MJ said contact us because there's ways around that, yeah, basically a trust, and everybody in this room, you're a human, so all of us should have a revocable trust that basically in the event you have a minor child, your wealth, you can put money into that account for the benefit of your kid. It's just if something happens before they turn 18, someone else is in control of that money. So you want to make sure you pick someone, whether it's you or you know, close friend or a family member. You want to make sure that trustee is someone that is going to do the right thing by the people that are benefiting.
Right, and if you don't have a trust and the assets do go to a minor child, know that you're going to go through a process that's called guardianship in court, where you have to start a petition and hire a lawyer and pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to make simple decisions. My child needs a laptop. Well, they can't access and make that decision for themselves. Judge, may we take some money out for the laptop? Things like that.
And
So
every
it is,
decision, you're racking up court fees, you're racking up legal fees,
and it takes months.
so
It's
Trust,
really
say
important.
yes.
the trust, that's why you create a trust, so that you appoint someone instead of going through the court system. You know, you appoint your I don't know, your sister or someone to make those decisions, and it.
On behalf of your daughter,
On
if you're
behalf
not
of-
here.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
As a real estate agent, do you advise to have a corporation?
Well, every situation is different, so we can talk to you, but generally, when you have an entity, that's the one that's getting paid. If that situation is the right one for you, it creates a layer of liability, so it protects you. And there's other tax incentives for it.
Liability protection.
The protection is really important, sorry. Yeah. So it really, we can talk after this, but it's really depending on your situation. But
Yeah.
we are big fans of having that layer of protection.
And there's tax incentives as well, you get to deduct things for your entity, it just depends, are you paying yourself a salary, you know, what are you doing with it, kind of thing. But yeah, that limitation on liabilities is a big component of it, so they can't go after if something happens when you're in your professional capacity, that your personal assets are protected. That's the biggest thing, that they can't go after your boat, your dog, whatever, I don't know. My dog is very valuable.
That's a $5,000 dog.
Nowadays they're
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Anything on the Zoom chat?
No, I've been checking.
Just make sure we're not leaving them off.
Yeah. Any Zoom people have questions? You guys can hear me, but you can't see me.
You can stop the presentation so that we can see them if they want to talk.
I'm not sure who's out there.
No?
Good to
Miguel?
No questions on the chat. If you guys have any questions, ask now. Let's see.
I think everybody's trying to figure
Yeah,
out.
a few people.
All right.
Hopefully we didn't miss some points. Oh, God. No panic attacks, guys.
Hopefully we didn't bore anyone or scare them to turn off the screen.
Well, this stuff's important for us as,
Yeah.
I tell you guys this all the time. Victor says it too. You're a business, like regardless of how you see it. Some people just think of themselves, I'm a realtor. You're a business. And if you want to be successful, it's like they're saying you need to get your financial shit together to then have everything else in place. Things that come into play with that is like exercise and other stuff. But for sure, you know, if you get your finances in order, that's definitely going to carry you further at a different level than you can imagine. Because you're not thinking about, am I going to pay my car this month, or am I going to pay my mortgage this month, or my rent, or whatever. You're just thinking about the client in front of you and how you can give them the best service. Not, I really need them to buy this house because fuck, I got to pay my bills and I'm behind 2 months. And that energy comes off to them. They can sense that, and they're like, you know,
And
versus
it keeps you
just
from
being
doing
genuine.
things too. Like when I came out of school, like I said, I had over $300,000 in student loan debt. I didn't start a business. I didn't buy a house. I was afraid to do it just kept me. I was like, I created an action plan, and then I kind of got, I was like, I'm gonna crush this thing as fast as humanly possible. But I felt for a long time that I had like a noose around my neck. And it was like every dollar I was earning, I just wouldn't see the benefit. I mean, I had the benefit of the education, and I was grateful for that. But it was just overwhelming. So, if I can do it, and anybody can do it, you just have to, one, stand in your truth, see where you are, and then you come up with a game plan and you go one thing at a time. It's the same. You don't just throw a house together. You start with a foundation, you put up the walls, then you add the plumbing and electrical and all that good stuff, and then you go shopping and buy furniture, right? So you don't go shopping first and throw it all in at the same time. So you just take one thing at a time, and the place to start is the assessment. And like I said, we'll give you guys all these tools that you can go pull it from.
the next training after this one, the business planning one's going to be. They tie together. Without your finances in order, you can't build a business plan. Any business I've ever started or been a part of, or a partnership even, you can ask Mike. We sit down, and that's one of the first things that I talk about: finances. Well, okay, what's up with the money? Where's the money going? Are you going to be okay for XYZ? What's the goal you need to hit to make sure that you're on target? You need to. I'm a little, I guess, crazy when it comes to that sense. You can ask Magda. I guess I like to set up 3 different financial plans. Like your worst one, right? A moderate one, and you're optimistic, and then you can even do like a super optimistic one if you want. So you have your super conservative goal, which is like, okay, shit, if I'm doing really bad, I'm only closing a deal every 2 months at a certain dollar amount. I'd like to use the national average of 280, right? Am I gonna scrape by doing that? I can't. Okay, how many do I need? 1.5 every 2 months. Let's just calculate it that way. And then you do your moderate and your optimistic, and that keeps you in check. You're like, okay, I crushed this. I'm here now. I crushed this. I'm here now. So when 2022 comes around, this number is not so low anymore. It's a little higher, and you just keep building on that every year until the day you die.
Yeah. And you keep assessing. Like all these things are rolling. You don't just do it once and you're done.
Right.
Like I said, a lot of these things you want to continuously check. Don't just check your credit score once. You should do it once or twice a year. You get to download free credit report from the bureaus like once a year. It doesn't cost you anything. So you should be monitoring that and then steady with that. May fall.
It's like, whoa.
There's a screw. I don't know if it's going to fall. Looks like it's
Don't move too much.
Yeah, I've heard this training several times, and I needed a refresher today because even the checkpoints, the 10 checkpoints, I'm like, shit, I still haven't gotten to this one yet, So it's something that you have to keep on working for, absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
Ladies, if I could have the first questions you did,
Absolutely. We'll send
Sure.
this out.
because I'm gonna
Absolutely.
refresh myself like every other month. I'm one that
Awesome.
gets excited and likes to travel, and I'm like, let's back
It's so easy, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good. Absolutely. We'll send it to you guys, and that's why we didn't want to mix this one with the business plan. We didn't want you guys to
It'll
get
be
really overwhelmed.
It's
I want
overwhelming.
you to digest, we want you to digest this, and then we'll put together the business plan one, and we will, you know, set the basis. So
Why don't we
it's,
do it like more like instead of like a presentation, more like a workshop?
we can do it like a workshop. We'll talk to them and see what works, because we have some handouts, and it's not just us lecturing you guys, but it's good if we if you tell us, if you tell us your ideas, and we tell you, no, that's not really what we mean this, what is this, and we'll, it's more like a workshop, so we can do that.
We
We'll
can fill in
talk
the
about-
blanks already.
Exactly, and then
instead of
you'll
just
have
talking, would be
the
great.
guts for your business plan. So
Right,
You'll
so-
have it complete. for
Yeah,
you.
you'll have, you're
Walk away with something.
you're gonna get, it's gonna get your juices flowing, and it's not just, you're like, oh, I'm an agent, I know I have to, this much for my expenses, like, why do I really need a business plan? Because whether you realize it or not, as an individual agent, you are a business, like Tammy was saying. Like, it's really important that you understand that you are a business. You have your own expenses, you have your own income, and it's really important that you start seeing it that way. I love the saying, it says, if you have a business, if you treat your business like a business, you'll get paid like having a business. If you treat your business like a hobby, it will cost you like a hobby. So it depends on how you see it. So do you choose to see it like a business, or do you choose to see it like a hobby? It's really up to you. So if you guys are ready to see it like a business, then we'll be here again. We'll plan it out, and Element will send out an invitation. So thank you.
In the meantime, kind of go through this stuff and feed your brain. Read those books, start listening to those podcasts. Watch Shark Tank instead of the Kardashians.
I love
Okay,
Shark
at least once a week. At least once a week, right? But start doing those things and have that assessment ready. So when we come into the workshop, you'll actually know where you're standing.
Yeah.
What you're trying to plan for is more practical.
Thank you to Sun Life. Thank you to
Thanks.
Element for having us.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. If you guys have any questions, feel free to contact us. That simplylegalgroup.com is our website. My email is mj@simplylegalgroup.com. Christina's is Christina with a K @simplylegalgroup.com. So feel free to reach out to us. We're here for support, whatever you need, any questions you have.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Let's breakfast. All right. It's in the kitchen. I haven't set it up yet, but it's in there. Gotta set it up.
All right, guys, thanks for coming on the Zoom chat. I'm gonna shut it off for now, and like always, I'm gonna put this on the recording. I'm gonna put it on the link on the YouTube page. If you need the link for the YouTube page, let me know, and I'll make sure to send it out to you. All right.
Sure.
I've never had such a pleasure.
What?